we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for attending our new Insider series. It's designed to provide you with everything you need to start Core 1 in 6 bite-sized episodes. So I hope you have your coffee. I have my tea here with me this morning, and we'll get through this quick session together. Please note that today's seminar will be recorded. Therefore, I will ask that we address all questions at the end. However, you can type questions in the chat box. You'll see a little speech balloon in your GoToMeeting menu, and you can chat in there the questions that come up as we go through the presentation, and that'll give me an easy reference for them at the end as well. Just a quick housekeeping item that we do ask that you mute your microphone and keep it muted throughout the presentation to reduce background noise. And we will rely on that chat box to receive your questions, but then I'll respond by speaking through the session. So my name is Amy Burridge, and I am one of 3 student recruitment advisors with the CPA Atlantic School of Business, who will be alternating as hosts throughout the episodes of this series. These episodes are a great way to keep up to date on all of the important steps and processes you need to know to be ready to take the next leap in building your career without, of course, all of the reading. I will say we're thrilled to see so many current and prospective students on today's presentation. And if you were looking for information that's not covered in today's call, I'll have resources and references for you that may help with what you're looking for closer to the end of the session. So let's dive in. Today we'll be learning about a new offering, Extended Core 1, and why it might be the best choice for you. Did you know there are over 20 typical paths to the CPA, and those are actually just the common ones. With 4 start dates this year, we have 3 starts typically, and with this new Extended Core 1 for July of 2020, that makes 4. 2 exam writings each year for the Common Final Exam, or the CFE, and a 6-year time limit to complete PEP, we can create the path that suits you best. So the bottom line is you have options and flexibility through your study plan. So let's take a look at the 3 options we currently have to study Core 1. These consist of the regular, fast track, and of course the new extended option. So with regular Core 1, this follows an 8-week module. We have fall, winter, and spring start dates to start on the regular Core 1 track. And on average, students spend about 20 hours per week studying Core 1 alone. This 8-week path is the typical pathway through all of our PEP modules. And it's the most popular for students going through Core 1. The fast track option is when you take Core 1 and Core 2 simultaneously following that 8-week module. There's a spring start date only for the fast track option, and because you're taking 2 modules combined, you're looking at an average of about 40 study hours per week. Because the study time is so intense, this option is typically reserved for recent accounting graduates with a higher than average GPA who can also commit full time to their studies. So this might be while you're waiting to secure employment or waiting for your position to start later in the fall. And then the new offering of Extended Core 1 is actually a decelerated option extended over a 20-week module. So it's a little bit longer than 2 of those regular Core 1 tracks. Feedback from some candidates was that regular Core 1 can be too fast-paced, so this gives you a chance to slow down your studies. With a unique summer start, those of you who have time right now to get started in Core 1 and don't want to wait for the fall can take advantage of this option as well. And with less study time per week, it can easily be accommodated into your busy schedule. There is an additional option as well with the Extended Core 1 that you can take Extended Core 2 simultaneously. So similar to the fast track option, you'll take both modules combined. However, they are both decelerated over that 20-week path. This would increase your study hours to about 20 hours per week. But I will point out, it's good to keep in mind that you would then have 2 back-to-back exams in December when both modules end. So those are the 3 options to study Core 1. And now we'll look at some of the pathways from Core 1 through the rest of PEP and how choosing your Core 1 start will affect the rest of your program. So even for all the students who start with the summer extended Core 1 offering, you still have flexible pathways through the rest of PEP. Your timeline will be affected by your choice of breaks throughout PEP, and we'll look at some of those options today. So you'll see example 1 through example 5, and I'd like to point out that these are actually just some of the shortest paths through the program. They don't encompass all of the pathways through PEP. So for example, you can take a 23-month path with 1 break, which would have you write the CFE or the Common Final Exam in May of 2022. That option is outlined in example number 1. Or you could extend your studies over a 27-month path with 2 breaks, writing the CFE just 4 months later in September 2022, and that's outlined in example number 4. If you choose to take extended Core 1 and extended Core 2 together, you can still choose between various paths. So you have an option to take an additional breakthrough PEP and still finish in just 23 months, and that's outlined in example number 2 or 3. Or you can take a 3rd break and pace your studies over 27 months, as outlined in example 5. So as I mentioned, these are only examples of typical pathways through. Your student recruitment advisor is the best place to start to help build your unique pathway. It's always a good idea as well to discuss your plans and your workload with your employer. Sometimes they have preferences for when students will take their studies based on avoiding peak work hours. So between us, yourself, and your supervisor, we can help you plan your study path. And there's also flexibility built in going forward, so you don't need to commit to a path right from the get-go. You can change and pivot as you go through the program. Keep in mind as well that you do have a 6-year time limit to complete your PEP studies. So as I mentioned, these are just some of the shortest paths through, but if you need a break, if things get thrown off track for you or something happens that affects your path, you do have that 6-year time limit to take advantage of as well. So what can you do now? The first step is to decide, I'm going backwards there. The first step for you would be to decide which Core 1 option might suit you best, and then check the registration deadlines. Noting as well, you should always work back about 4 to 6 weeks from the registration deadline to apply. So for extended Core 1, that does start in about a month's time on July 25th. However, if you haven't applied yet and you're eligible and ready to start extended Core 1, we could still process your application in time. If you're in that camp, or for other prospective students on the call, you might find it helpful to attend our Insider Series number 2 taking place on July 7th, and that will go through all the application details and the tips for changes that have taken place to our application process during COVID. For any preparatory students on the call, you may be more interested in Insider Series number 3, which is going to cover prep to PEP transition, and that will be on July 14th. As well, I'd like to highlight our unique Lunch with a CPA series. This only happens a couple times a year, and it's a great opportunity to have a Q&A with a recent CPA graduate. So the next session is happening August 19th. And it's with a stellar CPA graduate who is very successful in the program. And this really gives you the insider scoop to what it's like to go through PEP, the practical experience, how the CPA can build and affect your career in a positive way. And so, the student recruitment advisors are there to help you get started, but hearing from a recent CPA grad really gives you that insider knowledge into the program. So if you'd like to register for that, reach out to your CPA student recruitment advisor, and we can help you get signed up. As I mentioned throughout the presentation, You can contact your student recruitment advisor at any time. We're here to help you plan your studies and get started on your CPA path. We're available by phone, email, or virtual meeting, and all of our contact information is there. As I mentioned, I'm Amy, responsible for Newfoundland, Labrador, and Bermuda. We have John Thomas, responsible for New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and he also takes all French inquiries. So if you do want to study PEP in French, or you would rather get your questions answered in French, you can reach out to John Thomas. And then Kathleen Brown is our recruitment advisor for Nova Scotia and international inquiries if you haven't yet landed in Canada. So that's it for our coffee break seminar. Thank you for attending. I'm now happy to address questions you might have on Extended Core 1. And I will just mention, if you were looking for something else in today's presentation, I will reiterate that these are just bite-sized seminars on a specific topic. You may find one of our additional Insider Series sessions more pertinent to the information you were looking for. But as well, we have our regular general information session this evening at 5 p.m. Atlantic time, and that's hosted by Kathleen Brown. So if you are interested in that, reach out to Kathleen. That will cover everything from prep studies to the PEP program, practical experience, and everything you need to know from the beginning to the end of your CPA path. So I'll take questions now. I know that some came up in the chat box. I'll let you know as well that our other student recruitment advisors are actually on today's call. So if you do have questions in French and you'd rather communicate that way, John Thomas is on the call today, so feel free to type your questions in French, and John will be happy to address those. So great, we have a question there. Can you send us the presentation? So we will likely be posting the presentation. We can probably send it as well. I will check into that and email you based on the email address that you used to sign up for today's presentation. So Tanya has a question there. For Extended Core 1, are there weekly quizzes, and what is the assignment breakdown? Is there group work? Great questions. So when we look at the regular Core 1 option, the 8-week option, you do have weekly submissions that would be due once a week leading up to the final exam at the end of your Core 1 module. For Extended Core 1, because it is a slower pace, there wouldn't be weekly submissions. You're looking at about every 2 to 3 weeks throughout the 20-week path. So you have more time to digest the information, more time to read the material, and then more time to prepare for those assignments and quizzes as well. I actually will have to get back to you on the group work. I do not believe that there's group work in the Core 1 module, but I don't want to be quoted on that, so I can check back and get back to you on that one. David, do I need to be employed to take the program? So you do not need relevant employment to start or technically even to end the PEP studies. However, you do have to have recent relevant employment to gain the CPA designation. What that means is, as I mentioned, you have a 6-year time limit from the beginning of Core 1 to finish your PEP studies. There is a 30-month requirement for practical experience, and you have to complete that within 7 years of completing Core 1. If you have prior experience, you can carry forward up to a year of it. And I know that's a very vague answer, but the session tonight would be a great way to get more information on how the practical experience works and everything involved in that side of the program. But no, you do not need to have relevant experience to start this new Extended Core 1 offering. Is it possible to start Extended Core 1 in the fall? Not right now. So with CPA Atlantic, we are offering this new for July of 2020, and it does carry through the fall to the end final exam in December. However, it only has a July start date right now. This is a pilot project for us. We do have students signed up and eager and ready to start Extended Core 1, and some are choosing to take the Extended Core 2 offering as well. However, we can't guarantee at the moment what start dates will be available for the next year, for example. So we'll see how this one goes and the interest and the feedback we get from students, and then we'll look at what start dates might be available for 2021. Great question, Tanya. So the deadline to register for Extended Core 1, you're right, is technically this Friday. And your question is, if your mark isn't back for your last prep course, can you still register pending a path? Great question. Thank you for asking it. And the answer is yes. You can register for Extended Core 1 pending your final prep mark. What will happen is once your prep marks are released on July 8th, our registration coordinator will then approve your registration for Extended Core 1, assuming you meet all other requirements. And if, unfortunately, you don't get that required mark in your last prep exam, you'll just be withdrawn from Extended Core 1. So you have the option to, yes, go ahead and register, and then we will adapt as we go pending your final prep marks. Renee, should we wait to pay the registration for Extended Core 1 until we get those final prep marks? You can certainly. So the way the registration deadline works is it's great to have your online registration completed by the registration deadline, and you will then be invoiced for the Extended Core 1 module fee, but you won't be invoiced for the other fees until later through the registration process. So you can wait to pay those fees until you see if you're successful in your prep mark. I'm glad that you brought that up, and one of our series leading up to Core 1 in the fall covers all of the registration details. However, obviously that would be too late for the Extended Core 1, but yes, it is a slower process, so you don't have to have all your fees paid right away when you register. They just have to be paid about a week before the start date of Extended Core 1. So that gives you time to get your prep marks back and then proceed through the rest of the registration process. So I see a question there on prep courses. Just in the spirit of time, we're going to keep today's call based on Extended Core 1 questions. But again, the general information session tonight is a great place to get all of your prep questions answered. Or of course, you can always reach out to your student recruitment advisor and they can walk you through the prep courses. So for that information session this evening, I'll just put the contact information back up there. So Kathleen Brown is hosting it. Her email is there, and all you need to do is send her an email saying you'd like to attend tonight's session, and she can send you the link. And that'll be like a full hour-long session, so it gets into much more detail on the prep, PEP, and practical experience components of the program. Great. Well, I've seen a lot of questions coming in Extended Core 1. I'm glad you're eager to learn about it, and perhaps some of you will see sign up in the next couple of days. For Core 1 in the fall, you're looking at an October start, which is a September deadline. And feel free, we encourage you to follow the rest of our Insider series leading up to the fall Core 1 start date to get all of your other questions answered. And in terms of registering for Core 1, Extended Core 1, or any other questions that might have come up through today's call, again, please feel free to reach out to your student recruitment advisor. They can send you the links that you need to get started, to apply, to register, and anything else that you might need to know. So thanks for attending. We hope to see a lot of you at Insider Series number 2, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.